Welcome to the Legal Tech Insider presented by Blushark Digital. Dive into the latest and greatest technology with industry leaders to help bring your firm to the next level.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Legal Tech Insider. Today I am joined by Joe Rutolo from Intaker. We're going to be talking a little bit about live chats and intake and all those best practices and learning a little bit more about the company as well. Joe is the Strategic Partnerships Manager there at the company, and we're just going to start off and dive in with some background. So Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself, your role with the company, and just the history of the company.
Nalini, thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here at Legal Tech Insider. Now, I'll tell you really quick about myself. So I have been with the company for about 18 months, but we're just over 2 years old. So that's the majority of our lifetime. And how I actually, well, I'll talk about the origin story later for myself, but I'm the strategic partnerships manager here. And so whether those are agencies, software companies, other professional organizations, bar associations, those are the people that I work with to get Intaker in the hands of more law firms who can use us. And so that's a bit about me. I can tell you a bit about the company, and I think the origin story is kind of funny because our founder, his name is Puya Abka, and he worked in a co-working space here in Los Angeles, just like a small office at the time, and working on a different AI product using natural language processing. And he had a neighbor in his office. He shared a wall with this young startup attorney. I believe it was family law, forget the practice area. But my boss would be coding, Puya would be there writing code for the new product, and there would be this shouting from the other side of the room as this attorney was on the phone all day trying to qualify these people, these prospects. And as a way to kind of gently ask him to keep it down next door, Puya wrote a quick type form for his neighbor, so he could just send this link to his prospects and hey, just answer a few questions, and then when we get to the call, we can, be a little more efficient. And so he gave it to him, and it solved the problem for a little while. And what's interesting is another attorney friend in the same co-working space. So people bash WeWork. WeWork is a great place to make connections.
Yeah.
Intaker may not exist without it. But another attorney friend validated the idea and said, hey, if you can come up with a way of doing this and helping out with the intake and leaving it on the website, attorneys would totally pay you, 150, 200 a month, whatever it is. And so that was the idea. From there, Puya and his co-founder Irfan got to work building the version 1. And I guess they say the rest is history. So that's the quick version, how Intaker started.
That's a really cool story. And it's funny because a lot of these products that we talk about in the legal industry actually came from people who worked in, the operations of a law firm, and they could see the problem. Your founder could actually hear the problem physically. So I love that. And so let's dive in a little bit, because this Intaker product is a little bit different. It's not as traditional as the live chat that the lawyers who are listening right now usually think of. So, and I know that you guys will get to see a visual of it with the testimonial right after our interview, but just to kind of give us more of a background on exactly what this product is, tell us a little bit more about how it's more AI focused and how this live chat works.
Yes, I'll be happy to. So I mentioned that it's an AI chat. That is very important when we think about qualifying the prospects. For example, if someone visits a bankruptcy website, they want to see an option that speaks to their need, bankruptcy issues, versus if they're on a family law page, you might have options for divorce or child custody. But we don't stop there, because we want to better use AI to qualify these leads. And what that looks like, if they come in, not only are they going to choose that right prompt, but the questions that they answer, it's generally not a lot, maybe 4 or 5 of these qualifying questions are going to give you, as the attorney, a better sense of who they are, what they need help with, and if they're a good fit. And so on a family law case, it's going to be things like knowing if there's any, minor children involved in the divorce, if there are any joint assets or shared interests, whether that's property or business. And the conflict check is huge. If you don't know that in the first interaction, then you're at a disadvantage. We want to capture all those. But then again, for a personal injury type case, the questions are totally different, much more about the statute of limitations, the types of accident or injury that occurred. And we try to tailor it based on practice area and also, to your firm when there's special needs like that.
And so when we say that it's AI, there's no physical human that's answering these chats, right? So when somebody goes to a website and they click the little chat button, looks very traditional, they're going to get, what can they see? Is there like a video there? Is there something that can personalize this experience for the user? Is it just go right into the question answer?
Very good. So when they first come to the website, they're going to see a small little video, and that is a way to build that connection with your prospect. What we want to do is use this as an opportunity to fast track trust, to empathize with their needs. And so oftentimes, if they're coming in, it's not their best day ever. If they're coming to you looking for help, we want to be able to address that and then let them know we can help you. Here's how to get started, and encourage them to use the chat. So the nice thing is videos don't have to be long. They can be maybe 15, maybe 20 seconds of just the managing attorney or partner sharing that message, putting their face out there. And it really helps some firms stand out from the dozens of other websites that they might visit looking for help.
And you used the term Typeform earlier. That's what the founder had created for Loud Neighbor Attorney. So when we say Typeform, what we're basically saying is that this question answer series is almost like a tree, right? You answer this, you see a next question. How customizable is that question tree? Does it need to be customized? Talk to us about that.
Amazing question. So there's something that I get a lot. And one of our superpowers is being able to provide something that is like a pre-built set of questions for any practice area. I mentioned some of the popular ones like bankruptcy, family, personal injury. Any of those B2C or consumer-facing practice areas, we have pre-built options. The nice thing is it goes live on your website in about 20 minutes. And you don't have to worry about customizing, because when we qualify leads, there are maybe some exceptions about certain jurisdictions and like certain local rules, but for the most part, on that first interaction, you don't need every small little detail. You really just need the basics to see if this person going to be worth your time, your energy following up. So while customization is an option for about 90% of our customers, they don't need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of folks out there have heard of, and maybe not, but some of the only AI focused chats that we've seen is Podium has something a little bit more automated. Simply Convert is another one that's very robust. It's a little bit higher dollar, but it's supposed to also sign your retainers as well, right? There's different levels of AI that we've seen out there. Tell me about what makes Intaker a little bit different and stand out from the crowd.
Awesome. So a few things. We talked about qualifying these leads on autopilot, right? Whether that's the statute of limitations, the conflict check, getting rid of the manual data entry. So that also is going to be a lot of these AI programs we talked about, as long as they integrate with your other systems, eliminate that. One area where I think we stand out is automating a lot of those top funnel activities, including the follow-up, and letting you and your staff focus on those high value opportunities. Now, what I mean by that is you don't want to give follow-up to everyone should not get equal priority, right? You want to know upfront who are those best opportunities, focus on them. That being said, we want your staff, your humans, to be able to know which ones to focus on. And we can also use some of the follow-up automation, whether that's over text or email or both in our case, to make sure that when the lead comes in, they can get that reminder, that text message saying, hey, we've got your note. Our staff is going to call you, so just hang tight for a few minutes. We want them to get that automatically. So those are a few things. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say for those higher dollar, or maybe let's say for PI, You're asking the questions and you realize the injury is significant. It could be catastrophic. This is exactly the kind of case I want my managing partner or I want one of my associates to handle, right? Can you connect the attorney or someone directly? How do you notify the firm when there's that nice high dollar intake that's just come into the website?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a few different ways that we can pass these notifications on, and whether that is a text or an email, these generally go out to not just one member, but the whole intake team, the managing attorney. Oftentimes, we'll also want to be involved in these communications just to make sure that these opportunities are not slipping by. That being said, not every lead is a high priority. So in some cases, like depending on if it is a personal injury versus med mal versus maybe a civil issue, you can set it up so certain leads are going to ping certain people, right? But then if you have some practice areas that are less of a time sensitive or not as high dollar value in general, then you can set it up so those leads maybe don't have to ring the managing partner right away.
Right.
And so there is some kind of filtering based on that. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, that's perfect. I know that a lot of our clients will say, we'd love to outsource this information, but I also want to be in the loop, right? I don't want to give complete control over everything. And then I also want the opportunity to, look at my phone and get a text that says, hey, go call this person now. Because a lot of times managing partners are busy and they're not checking their email all the time, right? So the fact that you can text the person who should be calling this lead back right away, I think is a big bonus for a lot of the firms that we work with and that are busy and would be able to benefit from this, right? Mm-hmm. So no, that's perfect. So then in terms of the types of firms that can benefit from your product, tell me, I know you've already mentioned that you can work with any practice area, B2C is best, but what about the size of the firm? What other aspects of the firm's operations make them someone that will actually find value in Intaker?
Okay, let's talk about that. So on our last conversation, we talked about, smaller firms that are anywhere between 2 and 10 attorneys. Those are going to get value out of the gate as long as they have a significant website traffic. When I say significant, I mean like 1,000 or more users a month. I want to add to that any of these mid-sized firms that have, up to 20 attorneys even, can get a lot of value out of this. And there is the ability, like we talked about, to, depending on maybe you practice different types of law, certain attorneys practice one thing, other attorneys practice other things. So even in those bigger firms, you can be more specific and alert the right team members on either side about a lead in their area. And so even for those bigger firms, more mid-size, I think that this is helpful. The thing that I would say is any website, any law firm that is getting 1,000 hits or more to their website is going to see an improvement in the number of leads that come through.
In just the world of numbers, right? The world of it takes X number of leads to turn into X number of cases to actually see ROI for a cost. That's what we're talking about.
You're exactly right.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk a little bit about some of the monies and the way that the company actually operates in terms of their client retention and the client services. So let's start first with you guys. How do you do your charging? Is it month to month? Is it a contract? What does that look like per lead?
Awesome. We do a flat rate for unlimited leads, and we do a quarterly contract model. So every 3 months. And that's usually the amount of time that to start, you need to make sure that this is working, right? And caveat, if you don't have enough traffic, then hold off. Intaker, it will be the right tool for you when the traffic is there. But if you're below that 700-ish visitor threshold, then there is an order of operations and traffic comes first. So we do quarterly contracts. And as far as the flat rate, it is driven by the website traffic. So that's another reason why if you have a low traffic website, then the base pricing starts at $195, could be good. If you have a slightly better website that's getting 1 or 2 or 3,000 visitors a month, then it goes up from there. And the bulk of our customers are in between the 195 and the 500 category. But that being said, for a lot of these larger firms that have significant website traffic, 6 or 7 or 8,000 or more hits a month, and they're already paying a lot in their chat, then we always try to save, be the cost saver. And that is an advantage because we're automated. We can often do that for them.
That makes a lot of sense. And then in terms of free trials or demos or anything like that, what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, so we always do a demo that's personalized to your firm. So if you are coming in and you practice personal injury law, then we want to be able to give you a demo and show you exactly which of these options are most important to you. Maybe it's car accidents. In some cases, it could be med mal, or maybe you're more specialized in like traumatic brain injury. In those kind of cases, on that demo, we not only show you how this is going to work for your practice area, but you use things like the follow-up, use things like the business texting, the two-way texting. A lot of these things like the handoff from an automated chat to your live team having a conversation over text with this new lead, really helpful stuff. We want to show you all of those features, and we do that. It's usually a 30-minute call. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. And then from there, you did not ask about onboarding, so we can talk about onboarding next.
No, that's a great segue too. But from there too, did you have any kind of free trial or a 14-day anything like that, or any kind of money get back guarantee that is an option for users?
Great question. And we right now are not doing like a 14-day free trial or anything like that. And one of the reasons is it's a full service onboarding. And so when you come on board, our team is already there with you to help you set this up and make sure that not only is it set up correctly, but that you understand all of these different ways that you might either want to make a change or make sure that this is working right. So it is part training, part onboarding, and we are still we try to give the white glove service for our customers. So
yeah, let's talk about the onboarding a little bit there. Do you have a dedicated onboarding team that you can then call 3 months in if you have a question about something, or is it kind of a big overall team that's the support team, a ticket system? How does that work?
A lot of the accounts that earlier in my role as an account executive, these are people that I still have a relationship with that will still call me if they have a problem. And this is going on a year and a half later. And so one of the things about us is, although we're automated, although we have 400 firms using us right now, keeping those personal relationships is at the core of the service that we provide. And so when you come on board with an account manager, they're going to be there. It's not going to change. It's not going to be like a different person every time. And so I think that is one of the ways that we're able to keep so many customers over the long haul, is have those relationships that, kind of turn into friendships after a while, especially when you see you at a conference. Oh my God, that is so much fun.
No, absolutely. And so when you have your dedicated account manager, is that also the person that you're going to reach out to if you have any kind of issues, you have a glitch or something like that, and you need support? There's that one point person.
Yeah. We always have that one point person. And that's generally, it's a big responsibility when we onboard you, that we're going to be there for all the ups and the downs, and, more ups than downs. But when there's problems, there's a live person here ready to solve, and you'll have their direct phone number. Can bother them day or night. It's great.
I love that. I know that clients love that, to have the access, right? And what you find too a lot of times is that knowing that they can reach you 24/7, they're not going to abuse it. And I think I hear this all the time with lawyers talking about clients too. Do I give my cell phone out or do I not? And really, it's the peace of mind to know that if I did have an issue, I could reach out, but I don't need to reach out all the time, right? So I love models like that for particular companies, especially for legal industry, given that managing partners are working at all times, and they may not get to looking at this until this time of night when they're going to send you that email. So it's good to have that communication, I think, and that's a highlight for Integra for me personally. So from there, let's talk a little bit more about. We talked about your onboarding a little bit there. We talked about support. Onboarding in terms of getting started, from the moment someone says, yes, I want to use Integra, to when it is live on their website, sounds like it can be pretty quick because it's a turnkey product, right? So what does that look like in time?
We do a full service 1 hour onboarding. And on the old product, because if you visit our website now, it's going to look very different than a couple of months ago. We released a new version of Intaker, and it used to be like 20 minutes on your website. And indeed, we could still do that, but there are so many new features, including not just the texting, but setting up some of these templates as well. When we think about texting, having your team be able to go in there and just choose, one of a couple of templates that are different for new new prospective clients that are good versus those you need to refer out or decline. So setting up some of these things take more time. On the other side, it is a full hour that we do. And I would say in general, that's the time to ask questions, to learn, not just, how this is going to work the first time, but to see how your team can keep coming back and using some of the other tools that we have for lead management. And so it's, again, not just a chat, but being able to, in one place, see all of the chat leads, know where they are in the process, those who are retained, those are referred, those that are under evaluation or declined. And there's tools for not just you, but your intake team and paralegals and staff as well to use it.
I get this question a lot, and I think there's 2 parts to this, but you mentioned that you can have kind of a personalized video that shows up and it can, hey, this is blah, blah firm, would love for you to give us more information and call you back. Now, do you guys help with creating those videos, or are the lawyers on their own for creating that?
Amazing question, because I get this almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me take a step back and explain how we arrived at this process. In the beginning, we gave templates to people, say, hey, here's a script, it's worked for others. And then not only that, but some of the best practices for how to shoot a great video. Those we still give, but when we gave people a script to read off of, they would turn into this cardboard box. And it was very stiff. And in some cases, if the videos are not authentic, if they don't showcase your energy and your personality, they could actually do the opposite. They can make someone say, this doesn't look like someone I want to work with. Now, what we switched instead is when you come on board, depending on your practice area, we have a nice library of videos that convert really well, that the lawyers do an amazing job crafting that personal message to communicate. And what we do is, we'll give this list and give kind of these are the need to hit points. Do it however feels authentic, make the message your own. And here are 4 or 5 different examples of people that are killing it. And so from there is a bit of, DIY component to it. But I don't think they're, short of hiring a spokesperson to do this for you, which has its own pros and cons. There's no better way to get an authentic video
Than to just kind of do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
Now, say I don't have this video yet. I guess some people might have a crisp video, or they may have a video on their website, right? They can cut, they can cut a little piece of it. Maybe it already sounds very nice and perfect for it. But let's say I don't have the video and I won't get around to shooting it till next month. Can I start now and then add the video later? Can I change questions in my AI system as I learn better things? How flexible are you guys there?
Yeah, you are asking so many awesome questions, Nalini. We recommend that. We don't recommend starting video day one. And the reason is you're making a change to your firm. And while the change is very quick to add to your website, create this chat and add it, there is a time period where not just you, but your staff are going to want to get familiar, get comfortable using the product and learning all the ins and outs. And during that time is when it's good to start thinking, what is it that is my authentic message that is going to get people's attention, not just for the moment, but to take an action, right? And it usually takes a few weeks before someone is ready to come up with that idea in reality. And so we recommend waiting a month before shooting your video.
Great. So you can always make changes. You can call that one account manager that you have a relationship with. It's very high touch. So I love that a lot. So we talked about a lot of the product itself, the services. Let's talk about the company a little bit. So culture. What do you think one of the main items are that have helped with client retention in terms of Intaker?
Okay. It makes sense, I think, to put this in the perspective of the end user and not so much the clients, because if people are using the product, if prospects are coming through the chat and you see that they are qualified, they're turning into clients, right? What are the two things that make us stand out from some of the other chat companies?
Yeah.
And I think the fast tracking the trust with an amazing first impression is a big one. We talked about that with the video. That is going to get more people to take action when they're inspired, as opposed to saying, I'll come back later and do this. So that is number one. And the leads that the bump in conversion that comes from that. And then the fast response to getting what they need quickly, right? And so for those clients, it is answering a few questions, getting that text, getting into a conversation with the team. And already, within a minute, you could be talking to a live person once they know who you are and that you're qualified.
Yeah, and right, it's the lawyers too having instant gratification of knowing, does this case have injury? Does it not? It's really easy to weed out, especially when it comes from people who are spending a lot on SEO and on marketing. You're getting the kitchen sink, right? Once you have visibility, you're getting everybody coming to your website, but not everybody has a case that you want to take. And so it's nice to be able to say, hey, I want somebody else to deal with this and only give me the good ones. And weeding that out when you have a human doing that takes so much more time than the contact form, this type form that's happening. So that's personally why I have really enjoyed learning more about Intaker. It is very different than some of the other products I've seen, and it's simple, right? So it's not like we have 55 bells and whistles and all these different features that you may never get to use. It's something that you can actually get started with pretty quickly, and it just takes on its own little life, right? Am I correct in kind of that assessment for?
Yeah, the automation is one of those things. If automation was not at the core of this company, I don't think this would be a successful venture for us. But the fact that it is, in a sense, the chat is set it and forget it. The follow-ups and all that have an automated component that is even going to be super powered in the not so distant future. But yeah, automation is at the core. So you don't need to be too tech savvy to give us a shot.
To be able to make it work. Excellent. So what I'll do now is kind of just pivot to some fun questions. I like to throw these in at the end of every session. And then right after this, we're going to dive into taking a look at what this actually looks like, having a real client of yours discuss how it's helped their firm, and then even maybe looking at some of the numbers to show, here's why having 1,000 users costs this much because it's so many leads. But when you get to 5,000 users, it's a little bit more because we're doing a lot more forms, right? So you guys will be able to see all that stuff in depth and hear from somebody who actually uses Intaker. But before that, let's do some of these fun questions. So one that I like to ask is, what is your favorite icebreaker?
My favorite ice cream would have to be green tea.
So icebreaker. What is your favorite icebreaker question? But green tea ice cream sounds very interesting. Is that like a California thing, or have you actually had green tea ice cream elsewhere?
I had it when I was first a teenager on a student trip in Japan.
Okay, there we go. So it's also not, it's a little international flavor, but then I would imagine I could see that being a California thing too, right? Like,
oh, it's a good one. Yeah, and it's a Cali thing, but I think actually more Korean supermarkets have it.
Okay.
So go check out your local H Mart and get some green tea ice cream. The kids will love it. I will love it. So I'll come over and enjoy it with you.
And then what is, tell us something that not a lot of people know about you. That's a hard one.
Ooh, something that not a lot of people know about me. Well, if you met me professionally, you would not know this, but I love talking to strangers. Yeah, so I've met some amazing people in my life, from sparking a conversation with a stranger, and I'm honored and blessed to call some of those people pretty close friends at this point.
Okay, what is your favorite place to talk to random strangers, whether that's a grocery store, the parks?
It could be It could be, yeah, either the park or the beach is a popular one.
Beaches are
But the
great.
airplane, it's also a great place to meet people. I have
Okay.
had like some powerful heart-to-heart conversations, that could even end up in like one or both of us, crying and hugging
Oh, wow.
on the airplane. So anything
Okay.
is possible.
All right. Very deep. And then you said you traveled to Japan at the age of 14, or were you living there at the time?
Oh, it was a month, and I had a little host family that kept me, safe and sound for about a week. And
Okay.
man, that was the trip. That was a whole other conversation. But I will tell you that the people of Japan know how to have fun. They know how to love, laugh, and share amazing stories and memories and food. And yeah, shout out to my Japanese family, all those people. I miss you guys.
You'll have to send them the recording, right? Look at me now. And then aside from Japan, what is one of your favorite places you've traveled to?
The other place, because my international travel, my dad was born in Italy, and when he retired, he took the family to Italy a few times, and that became a thing. So in the
Okay.
summer, I would go to Italy in the foothills of the Apennine Mountains. And so if anyone's familiar, the Avellino region, go check it out. It is like a little hidden gem of a tourist spot. It's really not a lot there except the natural beauty, the food, the people, the celebrations that they have. The whole month of August is one giant party. So go to
Okay.
Southern Italy in August, have the best time ever. And
So that's where we need to be right now. But
yeah.
right now, go buy your flight and head out there.
Yeah, actually, I don't know when this is coming out, but August 15th is the humongous celebration they do every year. And so, yeah, if run out, get your plane ticket and enjoy it, or go next year.
I think, and we might have to wait till next year at this point, right? There's lots of all the travel situations and the tests to come back from international.
Yeah.
It's been quite a situation, but that's very cool. Really glad to have had you on and learning about Intaker. Is there anything else you'd like to throw in there that I maybe haven't covered, or that's really important for folks to hear about Intaker?
One thing that we like to do is try to distill this down into the most basic ideas possible of what we do, what we stand for. And so if we were to describe, the company, the culture in just a few words, it is innovation as number one, speed as number two, and service as number three, because our customers are our core, they are our heart. And without you all, there's no reason for us to exist. And so we want to honor that and be here for you at every stage of your growth and ours.
That's excellent. Well, again, thank you so much for giving us your time today. I'm really excited to check out the testimonial and look at kind of the product itself in the next, few minutes here. So everybody stay tuned for that. Thank you again.
Thanks, Nalini.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of the Legal Tech Insider. Don't forget to stay tuned for new episodes and fresh insights by subscribing to our show on all of your favorite streaming platforms.